What is up, everyone? Welcome to the second edition of the Coast2Coast podcast. This is week 5, post-game after the Tennessee Titans just beat the Buffalo Bills. My name is Liam. I'm your moderator for the podcast. And to my sides, I got Jose coming at you from the University of Oregon and Carson Hull coming at you from CSU Long Beach. They represent the West Coast. I'm representing the East Coast. So we don't got much time, so let's get into it. First agenda, we like to break down game-by-game breakdown. So how about we start off with the Thursday night football game, Bears at Buccaneers. We see the Bears with a win over the Buccaneers. Strong defensive play. So, Jose, how about you take it off here?
Yeah, I mean, the Bills the Bucs just look stagnant, but Evans continues to be a red zone monster for them, just catching touchdowns in the end zone all the time. But Allen Robinson looking like a top 5 receiver in the league right now. He needs to get his bag. I don't know what they're doing. He needs to be paid like today. But yeah, Bears continue to win somehow.
Somehow, some way. Carson, care to add on?
Yeah, Allen Robinson's really the only fantasy viable weapon on that Bears offense. Ronald Jones kind of stood out to me for the Bucs. I think he's for sure their number one back. I know it's been kind of up in the air, especially Brady usually likes to go through a lot of backs and whatnot. There's a lot of competition, but I think it's his backfield. He's just been unlucky, not getting those red zone targets. A lot of those are going to Evans, but he's getting a ton of rushing attempts, and he's 13, 20, and then 17 this week. And yeah, he just needs to find the end zone. But other than that, I think it's a really solid back that might want to target him from trades, honestly, because he's going to start finding the end zone. It's a matter of time.
Yeah, so heading into the next game, I believe the first game of Sunday, we have the Cardinals-Jets. Cardinals beating the Jets 30-10 at the Jets. We saw Kenyon Drake, still not doing well. He's kind of carried in fantasy by his touchdown. Good performance by Jameson Crowder. Hopkins putting up some numbers and some interesting things going on. Carson, do you want to start off here?
Yeah, Robinson for the Bears, Crowder's the only guy on this Jets team you might want. Finally, Kyler had a lot of production throwing wise. He had 380 yards. I just wish he would get a few more passing touchdowns. Only one this week. Like you said, Drake. I mean, honestly, I'm pretty hyped he actually got 13 points. That's pretty sad to say that a guy that went the top 2 or 3 rounds, you're damn, finally he did something, and it's only 13 points. So yeah, honestly, it's crazy to think, but I think Chase Edmonds probably has the same amount of fantasy value as Drake right now, which is insane because Edmonds is still probably on a lot of waivers right now. So, but yeah, solid day for Kyler. Cardinals put the whooping on the Jets. Who is it right now? Jets suck.
Yeah. Care to add anything, Jose? Or you think you pretty much hit it on the spot?
Yeah, I pretty much hit it. I mean, Kyler Murray's the best running back on this team. It's just Drake's just not viable.
Exactly. So going on to the next game number 3, we have the Bengals at Ravens. An absolute beatdown by this Baltimore defense was just destroying the Bengals. One person's got a shout out here, Patrick Queen, apparently talking during the game that him and Joe Burrow did not get along at LSU, and Patrick Queen just let out his anger on him, playing phenomenal, showing why he should be Defensive Rookie of the Year. But Jose, do you want to talk about this game?
Yeah, I mean, Lamar continues to struggle in the air, at least. He didn't even really run the ball that much this game, but Mixon, I think Mixon had a tough matchup, but he had a solid day. 15 fantasy points, not bad considering he had a 42. At least he didn't put up a dud. Higgins continues to be solid in PPR. He had 4 for 62. But Hollywood Brown stood out, six catches for 77 and a touchdown.
Carson, what do you got to say about this one?
Yeah, Jose made a good point about Hollywood Brown. He finally had a pretty solid game. Let me give you some guys that finished ahead of Lamar this week. So we got Derek Carr. Check down Derek Carr, who played really well, by the way. We'll get to him in a sec. Baker, Kirk Cousins, and Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco finished a spot ahead of him in terms of quarterback points this week. That's insane. Ravens have been disappointing, and it's not going to look too much better, I think, for the Bengals going forward. They have the Colts next, the Browns, the Titans, and then the Steelers the next 4 games, who all have like elite pass rushers. And with that O-line, it's going to be pretty tough for Burrow and the boys. So.
Yeah, I think that was the thing we knew going in. Joe Burrow is going to face a lot of pressure in this AFC North. So going on to the next game, one of my favorite ones this week, the Battle of Pennsylvania. We got the Steelers taking over the Eagles. We saw, obviously, we'll get into this, Chase Claypool playing like he is fighting for that number 1 receiver position in that draft. And Travis Fulgham, continuing solid play out here. So, Carson, you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, Fulgham came out of nowhere, and it's not like he just had it's not like any of the other receivers, had he was the guy. Like no one else in their pass game did anything. Like he gobbled up a ton of targets. I think he's for sure their number 1 pass catcher going forward. He's proven it the last couple games. Like you said, Claypool had a monster day, and sorry for Juju, but I think Claypool's the number 1 in this offense. I think they're just gonna, he probably will be, most likely won't put up these kinds of numbers, but he's gonna be a force moving forward. He's proved it.
Definitely. Jose, what do you got to say about this one?
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much hit it on the head. With Deontay Johnson not being able to stay healthy, Claypool stepping in, filling in that role, but Sanders, overall stat line looked good, but just not a good day for him. He had that one big run,
those 2
but other than
touchdowns
that,
saved them for real.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so next one we're heading to the obviously we got a game here, Texans at Jags at Texans. Obviously, we have the oldest head coach in the league, oldest one I believe of all time, on the Texans, taking the 30-14 dub over the Jags. Saw some, not the craziest game, but Carson, you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, this game wasn't the most enjoyable to watch. The Jags had a tough day. Chenault was led them in besides Minshew, but as far as skill guys go, he led them in fantasy points with only 15. But the Texans, Watson finally had a really solid game, and then Brandon Cooks really come out of nowhere. He 30.1 points today. That's 6.3 more than he scored all season. So don't go searching for Cooks. I think this is just kind of like a one-time deal, but good on him because he had a monster day, and the Texans desperately needed a win.
So Jose, what do you got to say about this one?
Yeah, I mean, David Johnson even had 96 yards against this Jaguars team, which I've been saying Jaguars can't stop anyone on the ground. Not even David Johnson, who's been struggling all year. So just watch out for those Jaguars matchups. Start anyone against the Jaguars.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see in the offseason what the Jaguars do if they go away from Minshew. Maybe not the quarterback of the future for them, but obviously a solid player. But we'll see. So
next for Trevor.
Yeah, exactly. So next one, we got one of the surprises of the week. We got the Raiders taking up against the Chiefs, winning in Arrowhead, 40-32. As Carson mentioned earlier, Derek Carr was playing well, and one of the most interesting ones I want to tap on before I hand it off to you guys. Henry Ruggs was the most interesting stat line I've seen in a while. 2 receptions for 118 yards and a touchdown. Really interesting out there. Jose, you care to talk about this game?
Yeah, I mean, Carr looked pretty good. Outshined Mahomes. He had almost 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. Ruggs with the most Tyreek Hill-ass stat line I've ever seen. But solid game for him. I mean, I still would not really start him just because he doesn't get the volume or the targets. He just kind of made most of what he got. But Jacobs with an inefficient day, but the goal line work he continues to get. They pound the rock with him. So I think Jacobs will be solid going forward.
Yeah, Carson, what do you got to say about this one?
Yeah, Ruggs is like probably the most popular guy that you don't know what you're gonna get. He's the textbook definition of a boom or bust. So I think in this offense, the only guys you can really trust are Jacobs and Waller because Carr has a lot of talent around him, but he kind of throws the ball to a lot of different guys. So you never really know who else is going to step up besides those two guys. But a really impressive win for the Raiders because, like, usually, like, especially in Kansas City, like, that's like a guaranteed win for the Chiefs. Like, that's how it's been, like, these past few years. So it's really, really surprising. The most, that's 2020 for you. The Raiders coming into Kansas City and taking a really impressive dub. I mean, I know it's they only won by 8, but it was that was like a late touchdown that they got. It was basically like a pretty solid blowout for them. Really impressed, honestly, with the Raiders.
Exactly. I think I might have heard something that was probably Patrick Mahomes, like one of his biggest losses of his NFL career, which is crazy to see. And I know you guys actually touched on it, but what I thought was interesting, Nelson Aguilar seems to be doing really well in this Raiders offense. At least getting touchdown receptions. He has 3 TDs this season. I mean, obviously everyone was shading him in Philadelphia, rightfully so. He just wasn't catching those balls from Wentz, but he seems to be doing pretty decent out there for the Raiders. Not anything I'd warrant fantasy attention to right now at all, but seems to be doing solid.
Yeah.
So heading on to this next game.
Oh, we got to mention Kelsey too. Kelsey had a Kelsey type day, 25 points, doing his thing like usual. So yeah, that was awesome too.
Yeah.
Chiefs are no longer undefeated also.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Are they the last they're the last team, right? Them and the Bills?
The Titans are still undefeated. So
the Titans are still
Titans, Seahawks, Packers,
and
Steelers.
Seahawks,
yeah.
So 3 left.
Going on to this next game, we have the Rams at Washington. Obviously, the big news: Alex Smith is back playing football. I think everyone can be excited about that. But unfortunately, he had to face the most dominant defensive force we've seen in a long time, Aaron Donald, with 4 sacks on the day. Absolutely ridiculous. Doesn't really help in fantasy. I mean, unless you're getting those some 3 points for sacks on defense. But Jose, you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, I see a lot of people talking about Akers' value rising. I just don't see it. Henderson had 2 touchdowns, but I just would not trust anyone in this backfield at all. The receiving game is solid, though. Woods with 4 catches for 71 and a touchdown, Cup with a solid PPR day. On the Washington side of the ball, really, if you really need a flex, Antonio Gibson is solid. But other than that, really no one there. Well, besides Terry.
Yeah, Carson. Anything else to say?
Yeah, that was so awesome. Okay, well, it was awesome seeing Alex Smith, like, actually be on the field. Like, he shouldn't even be in the position to be playing football. That's incredible. But it sucked having to watch Aaron Donald go after him. And you're just, like, praying, just, like, please, like, nothing happened. So that was definitely an interesting storyline. But, yeah, not really too crazy of a day for anyone on the Rams. They just had a solid, led by their defense. Their defense was number 2 with, I think, about, 14 points. So, yeah, solid beat down the Redskins. And, yeah, like you said, like Gibson, Terry, McKissick had a solid day. I don't know. I don't know how his value is going to go or how consistent his volume is going to be. But, yeah, I would probably stay away from most of the Redskins. But, yeah, commanding dub for the Rams.
Exactly, and just kind of touch on that with the Redskins. I was looking at when I was
football team.
Did I say Redskins, bro?
Team.
Oh,
my bad.
Okay.
Apologies.
My bad. I'm sorry, but it has been 17, 18 years of my life where they've been. The professional football team took a massive L. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
I'll get there.
Just to add on the end, no Washington player had 11 or more fantasy points, which I'm guessing was the lowest performance of any fantasy team this year. So let's move on to the next one. So next one, we got the Dan Quinn-less now Falcons, also Dan winless Falcons. Panthers beating the Falcons 23-16. Jose, do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, I mean, the Panthers offense just looks pretty explosive. Mike Davis with 89 yards on the ground and 60 through the air with 9 catches and a touchdown. Just insane. I really did not expect him to put up these type of numbers when McCaffrey went out. But Robbie Anderson continues to be a wide receiver 1 for them, 8 catches for 112. Moore looked good. He had 93. The Falcons offense, it's pretty much just the Ridley show through the air and then Gurley on the ground.
Yeah. Carson, anything else to say?
Is CMC a system running back? Is that what I'm seeing?
We shall see.
But yeah, Mike Davis is balling. Dude, honestly, the Panthers are really surprising me. Like, they look like, they don't look like a Super Bowl team or anything, but they like look really solid. Like their offense is super coherent. DJ Moore had a bounce back game. Mike Davis keeps rolling, like you said, and yeah, Ridley finally bounced back after 0 points last week. So yeah, this was an interesting game, and yeah, start anyone against the Falcons.
Yeah, exactly. So honestly, I know this isn't a happy one for Carson and I to talk about, but game number 9 on my list, we got the Dolphins with a blowout in San Francisco, 43-17. Honestly, things to talk about. Jimmy G just looked horrendous, got benched for CJ Beathard towards the end, but Ryan Fitzpatrick just doing that random stuff where he just balls out every once in a while. But I'll let Carson take on this one.
Dude, this game felt like it was over in like 5 minutes. Like they scored so fast. We seemed so depleted. That was terrible to watch. Fitzmagic just carve us up. A bright spot for the Niners, Mostert had a decent game, had like 15 points, and I think unlike the Rams, I think like the 49ers, they kind of have the notion that they're a running back committee, of course, but I think Mostert like really stands out as like their true like number one guy. But yeah, big day for Miami and all their weapons. Let's see, 7 players with over 10 points against the Niners, which if you told me that would happen last year, it's like, how? Like, did all of our guys get injured? Oh, wait, that's exactly what happened, like, to our defense. So, yeah, that sucks. But big day for Miami.
Yeah. Jose, anything else to say about this Dolphins victory?
Gaskin is damn near an RB1. He's currently sitting at RB15 with more points on the year than David Johnson, Kenyon Drake, and James Conner. So he had a 20-point game this week. I think he'll be solid going forward. He gets a good amount of targets through the air and good work on the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I slow down on the Preston Williams hype because he had 4 catches. I had a big day today, but his last few games he was, going back and forth between 1 catch and 2 catches. So, I wouldn't go, crazy over him in the waiver wire, but, maybe upgrade him a little bit.
Yeah, especially if you need to pick him up for someone on a bye week. You never know, especially with a lot of those coming up. So heading on to the next game of the week, we got Cleveland beating the Colts. And, who would have known that a few years ago people would have thought that the Cleveland Browns would be 4-1, Pretty interesting.
That's 2020, man. It's 2020.
Pretty mediocre day in fantasy, but I'll let Carson tackle this one.
Hunt is relishing with Chubb out. He's an RB1 for sure. I liked OBJ and Landry getting 9 targets. That's good to see. Their production was just okay, but the 9 targets something to be optimistic about. And then Hooper as well had 10 targets, only 5 catches, but you like to see those targets get up there. And Taylor, I think he's been doing Jonathan Taylor. He's been doing well, but I think there's still another level for him to reach, especially with that offensive line. But yeah, Browns 4-1. Sheesh, who would have thought?
Jose?
I think my mic. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Rivers with no touchdowns and 2 picks. He had a worse day than OBJ at QB. But Baker with 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. I don't get how this offense produces. They just don't look good. But it is just the Colts.
So, and then this next game, we got Cowboys. Honestly, not good for that Cowboys defense, allowing 34 points to these New York Giants, I mean, they barely had any touchdowns going into the year. So, Jose, I know you're the Cowboys fan here in the room. You want to tackle this game.
I just want to say a prayer for my boy Dak Prescott. Come back soon. We miss you. We're going to hold it down while you got, though. But, yeah, we had a win for Dak. Still not a good game defensively, but it was only the Giants. I was nervous, though. I'm not going to lie, like, watching the game. Especially after Dak went down, I was like, it's just going to be another L. But Slayton with a solid game, 8 catches for 129. And Zeke's value goes up a crazy amount now. him and Pollard, I think, will be solid. But Dalton didn't look bad. Dalton could probably hold it down, maybe even win the division. And that's not saying much just because the division is so ass. But yeah.
Carson, anything else to say about this one?
Yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about any of the Cowboys' weapons because, Dalton is a really good backup. I mean, obviously, kind of a meme, couldn't win a playoff game. But, he did lead, a Bengals team to the playoffs multiple times. He's more than capable of, like you said, getting the Cowboys to the playoffs. And, obviously Dak was on a historic rate. But, I wouldn't downgrade. I wouldn't be too worried if you own any Cowboys receivers, because like I said, he's proven himself in the league. And the Giants, against the terrible Cowboys defense, besides Slayton, Freeman had a nice day, but, Danny Dimes couldn't do anything. Not even the Cowboys defense can cure the Giants. So
it seems to be so. So going on to the next game, we have my favorite game of the week. We have the Vikings at the Seahawks, with the Seahawks pulling out Russell Wilson pulling out his magic hat, 94-yard drive to win the game down in the last few seconds, throwing that one to DK Metcalf, who is getting comparisons to Terrell Owens from what I'm hearing now. But I'll let Jose tackle this one. What do you got to say about this game?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say the same thing about Metcalf. He's just giving me not necessarily Terrell Owens, but just like that type of vibe, like that elite all-time receiver type of vibe, like, a Megatron or someone like that. But Russell Wilson just continues to do it somehow week in and week out, just wins. And this week he had more rushing yards than Chris Carson with 58. So, but look out for Madison. Cook looks to be out for the next couple of weeks. So Alexander Madison, not a bad pickup.
Sure. Carson, what do you got to say about this one?
Yeah, Madison is like the most important waiver wire pickup out of anyone. I mean, I'm not sure how long Cook is going to be out, but as long as he is out, Madison is definitely like an RB1, high-end RB2 for sure. Thielen and Metcalf just doing their things, just going crazy. Russ came down to earth just a little bit, but still had a really nice day. And yeah, man, the Seahawks just keep rolling. They're looking so good.
Yeah, Wilson definitely a front runner for MVP, especially, we'll see if Aaron Rodgers comes back, but Josh Allen, obviously not. We'll get to the Josh Allen performance later in this talk. But heading on to the next game, we have an unfortunate one from what I was looking at. We have the Chargers Saints. Saints did manage to win this one, but I think it was Justin Herbert's game to win. Obviously, Michael Badgley missed that kick at the end of the game, sent it to overtime. So I'll let Carson tackle this one.
Yeah, the most Chargers way to lose, hits the upright, goes off. Poor Justin Herbert, man. He's doing everything he can. He had an awesome game. He looks like he's more than worth that high draft pick. He's been awesome. It sucks to see Keenan Allen go down. I'm not sure how long he's going to be out with back spasms, but he's been getting a ton of targets. And I think for his fantasy value increased dramatically once Herbert took over for Tyrod. Kamara definitely came down to earth a bit, and then Sanders playing like the receiver we all thought he could be, especially with Thomas out, playing like a true, wide receiver one today with 12 receptions, or yesterday, 12 receptions, 122 yards, no touchdowns, but that's still a really, really good day in PPR. So yeah, this game was awesome. It was really fun to watch Herbert go at it. The young guy versus the old Hall of Fame veteran.
Yeah. Jose, you want to add anything on? I know your Oregon boy, Justin Herbert, out there balling. Anything else to say?
Yeah, he's just fun to watch, man.
Oh,
I mean, 4 touchdowns in the air, 2 of them to Mike Williams, who just seems to have these random games where he'll just catch all these end zone targets. But I just wish he could put it together more often.
So random.
But yeah, solid game for Herbert.
last game, honestly, we just watched this game, us three of us, but the Bills losing to the Titans, really surprising one, 42-16 with the Titans coming out on top. It's like I touched on a second ago, Josh Allen not playing well. This was a pretty good day for the four of the Titans players, and only an okay day for Diggs. Jose, you want to tackle this one?
Yeah, I mean, Allen had the pick early on, which was kind of just to show how the game was going to go going for after that. But Diggs getting so many targets, just he was open all day. Funnel targeting. Allen and Diggs are one of the best connections in the league. But Titans, one of the best running attacks in the league. Derrick Henry just slicing through everyone in his way, including Josh Norman. But yeah, Titans just came out from their COVID bye week and just looked really good. So props to them.
Yeah, if you still held on to A.J. Brown, he definitely paid off this week, having a nice day. 7 receptions, 82 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah, this was shocking because the Bills have looked really, really good, and to go into Tennessee and just get destroyed was interesting for sure, and definitely surprising. But yeah, like you said, Diggs has been a monster this year. He keeps going, and slow game for Singletary, only 25 yards on the ground, only 1 catch. So yeah, tough day for the Bills. But yeah, if you had Brown and Henry, you're vibing right now. You're chilling because they had awesome games.
Exactly. The presence of Tre'Davious White, that number 1 corner out there in Buffalo, was seen tremendously, as Josh Norman is not the man he used to be. So that actually wraps it up for our game review of the week. So next we're going to touch on agenda number 2, our fantasy team of the week, and starting at quarterback, actually just passing Patrick Mahomes because of his performance tonight. We got Ryan Tannehill, solid 30-point performance. RB1, we got Mike Davis with 29.9. And then RB2 in the same game, we got Todd Gurley. Pretty interesting, actually. Our RBs and wide receivers both played the same game. So then that leads us into wide receiver 1, Chase Claypool with 42.6 fantasy points with us. And wide receiver 2, we got Travis Fulgham bringing in 31.2. And then, as we mentioned, just for a quick second, tight end was Travis Kelce, 24.8. And then flex was that random Brandon Cooks performance, 30.1. The defense, we had the Ravens with 25 points, a lot of forced turnovers, a lot of sacks. It seemed really nice out there for that Ravens defense. And then the kicker, we got Jason Sanders with 22. He was taking tons of field goals, and they were scoring a lot of touchdowns in there against San Francisco. So, the next topic we're going to talk about is some of our trade targets that we've come together that we think you guys should be aiming for your team. I'll let Carson talk about this one, who he thinks his quarterback targets are.
I mean, honestly, a stream guy that I think, is probably just sitting on someone's bench. Honestly, I think, like Fitzpatrick, I would just keep riding that wave. I mean, he's been dropping 20-plus points for the last few weeks. Just, keeping Tua on the bench. So if he, pick him up on the waivers, if, I think a solid strategy that, if you have a pretty solid quarterback, like a, top 5 to 10 quarterback, and, or maybe, looking for an RB or, looking for a solid wide receiver, I might, go ahead and trade those guys and look for someone like a Fitzpatrick or, kind of go with the streaming. But, yeah, Fitzpatrick is balling, bro. I might actually, look at him for sure. Easy schedule coming up, too.
Jose, got anyone for your quarterback target?
Justin Herbert, only owned in 35% of leagues. It might even be on your waiver wire, but yeah, has a pretty good schedule coming up. Solid, and also Cam Newton, looking to come back since he got COVID. But he's got a pretty good schedule coming up, and his value probably is pretty low. He might even be on waivers. So look to trade for them.
Throw on my list. I actually did this right before the game. I put Ryan Tannehill on there, especially with A.J. Brown back. Jonnu Smith looking well this year. He's got Adam Humphries and Corey Davis hopefully coming off the IR soon. he's going to have some deadly weapons out there in Tennessee. So he should be a good target. If he's available in waivers, try and pick him up. So look at the running back targets. I'll take this one on first. I think Todd Gurley is the one you should be looking at. I mean, he looks healthy. That knee looks healthy. He seems to be the one leading that rushing attack out there. He's putting up numbers. I think you can probably get him for an RB2 level. I don't know if someone's labeling him as an RB1 because he's got that injury history. So he's definitely someone that I would go after. So, Jose, who do you have on your RB list?
Antonio Gibson. If you're looking for a solid flex or low-end RB2, the QB changes in Washington don't really seem to affect him. He's pretty safe every week if you're in PPR. But his upcoming schedule, he plays the Giants twice, Dallas, Detroit, Cincinnati, and Dallas again. All bottom half defense against opposing running backs. So he should be solid for the next few weeks and carry you into the playoffs.
Carson, who do you got on your RB list?
Yeah, someone that's was really hyped up coming in. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You were drafting him as a for sure RB1. You probably weren't. He probably wasn't falling past late first or early second. And he's been solid this year. He's RB12 overall, but definitely not what we expected. I think we all expected him to be have like a top 5, top 6 finish even. And I think as someone who drafted him to be your RB1, I think you can kind of capitalize on his not lackluster, but definitely a little bit disappointing performance. I think you can probably buy low on him because the touchdowns are gonna come. He's only had 1 touchdown throughout 5 weeks, and that's gonna even out. And he's a beast in PPR, and I think big weeks are coming for him. They're bound to. They're especially once you get later in the season. Andy Reid's not going to want to use his receivers all too much, keep them healthy, just attack with the run game. And the Chiefs are going to be up in a lot of games. So I would try and target him, especially capitalizing on kind of disappointing season so far. He's going to get his.
Oh, so pounding the rock. All right, so let's look into our wide receiver targets. I'll just bounce back. Carson, who do you got on your wide receiver target list?
I got DJ Moore because DJ Moore was, going in the 3rd, 4th round. And I think, for a solid amount of people, he was probably your, first or, probably a worst second wide receiver taken. I don't think he's really been living up to that so far, but solid week. Robbie Anderson's been kind of taking over the spotlight, but I think he's definitely a buy low candidate for sure. Maybe not after this week because he did really well. But, try to capitalize on him because I think big weeks are ahead for him for sure. And the schedule is getting easier. And Teddy Bridgewater is proving why he's a starting quarterback in this league. And Moore is a big part of that going forward.
Exactly. I mean, especially last year we saw the production he put up. So wouldn't be surprised if he begins pushing like that again. So for my wide receiver target, Jose and I were actually talking about this. I have Tyler Lockett on there. Obviously, we were talking about DK Metcalf is seeming to be like he's the wide receiver number 1 out there. And Locke's had 2 really not so good weeks recently. And I think if you see people that getting frustrated with his performance, you could probably get him for a decent value. I go after him. I mean, we saw a few, I think maybe it was last year or 2 years ago, him and Russell Wilson had a perfect path array between the two of each other. We know Wilson still loves that guy. So he's going to get his targets when cornerbacks are starting to target DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett's going to be the one open. So that's who I got. Jose, who do you have on your list?
Juju Smith-Schuster. After this Claypool game, Juju owners are probably panicking a little bit, at least. But I would. I mean, I think it's a pretty fluky game. I don't think he's going to catch 4 touchdowns every week. But his schedule coming up, he faces Cleveland, Tennessee, Baltimore, Dallas, and Jacksonville, all bottom half defenses against wide receivers. So he should be solid in the next few weeks. If not, get back to that wide receiver 1 status and reestablish himself as the top receiver in this offense.
On one of the game's best to ever do it, Antonio Brown. So, yeah. Going into our next one, we got our tight end targets. I'll hit this one off. I have Jonnu Smith on my list. I actually wrote this down before the game happened. I thought since people haven't seen him play for a while because of COVID, he's going to be going for cheap. But we'll see after this game, you know. I mean, he put up 2 touchdowns, so it might be hard to pry away from Hundreds. But we'll see. Maybe some people got other 2 tight ends they're running. So if you can snag Johnny from someone, I think he could be someone that's going to put up some big numbers going. So, Carson, who do you have on your list?
Austin Hooper's a guy who I think, was a big signing for the Browns, but certainly disappointed first 3 weeks. 3.5 points, 4.2 points, and 5.5 points. Been doing a little bit better, but I think, managers are probably frustrated with him as well. And you can capitalize on that because the targets have just been going up and up. Baker's just been getting more and more comfortable in that scheme with Stefanski. And, the red zone targets are going to come for him. I would like him. I like him as a buy low candidate for sure.
Zay, who do you have on your tight end?
I also had Jonnu Smith, but obviously before the game, his value is probably pretty high now. He's got 5 touchdowns on the season, but Zach Ertz, man, I'm so frustrated with him as an Ertz owner, but I have hope for rest of season for him to get back to that top 3 tight end that he was drafted as. Hopefully he can get back to it, which he's probably pretty cheap because the owner is frustrated with him. So.
Yeah, I know Goddard helps too, because I was definitely buying into his production
this year. And and especially out there in Philly, they don't have a lot of wide receiver talent. Honestly, we don't know if his production is going to stay, and if it does, they still got to have another target at 30. I don't think it's going to be J.J. Arcega-Whiteside boys. So definitely got to say that. But before we wrap the show up, any guys want to say anything else?
Truth. Nah, I'm good. Really random week. That's what kind of happens in like these early weeks. You never know what's going to happen, but
some big bye weeks coming up this week, and we'll be back week 6 to talk to you about what's going on. So thank you guys for watching, and that concludes the podcast. Signing out. Peace.